Hey everyone, Telsonator here, going to show you some basic theory. I'm going to start with chord building. I've done lots of videos on working with chords and playing over chords and soloing over chords, but we never really explained how we make those chords. I've shown some of them to you, but this time I'm going to show you how we build the chords. Chords are built from a foundation, just like anything else that's built is built from a foundation or a root. It's going to be, and we're going to start with C. C is a nice easy key, all natural notes. So our notes in C would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C again on the octave. Each of those is an interval from the root note. So the second note of the scale is that distance. It's a major scale and it's the second note, so it's a major second. Then we have the third is also a major third. The perfect fourth, which would be F. Perfect fifth. Major sixth. Major seventh, and then our perfect octave, or perfect unison if you're going to play the root twice. So, it's pretty simple though. When we're building chords, we're taking the first, third, and the fifth. So we're taking the C, E, G, and that's how we make a triad. That's the basis of a chord. The three notes that make up a chord. That, by definition, is what it is. Everything after that is just adding to it. So we're not necessarily changing it right now. We're just going to be adding to it. So if we see a C major sixth, very, very common chord, or a C sixth, we're taking a C major chord, the root third and fifth, and we're adding the sixth note from the scale. It's got a nice sound to it as well. After we get to sevenths, sevenths are counterintuitive. So we would think that when we see sixth, we're going to add the sixth, and when we see seventh, we would add that. That's not the case. Whenever we see seven, we're taking a major chord, because that's the basis of the chord. It's a major chord with a flatted seventh, or a minor seventh. So instead of a B natural, we'd have a B flat. We've all heard that kind of bluesy sound that's associated with that. It's the major sevenths that make the most sense. We just take the major chord, root, third, and fifth, and we add in the major seventh, the seventh note, the regular old interval. We get some nice melodic sounds out of that. After that, we go up to the nines, 11s, and 13s. Sometimes those 11s will be sharp, sometimes the 13s will be flat. And all we're doing is we're bringing the scale up 2 octaves, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when we go up to the second octave, we just keep going from number 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So along there you're going to find your 9, your 11, and your 13. So whenever we see a 9, we're going to do C major chord with a flatted 7th, because that's part of the 9, and we have the 9th note of the scale. Same goes when you're doing 11s or 13s. You're just adding the 11th note or the 13th note from your 2-octave scale. Now, the same principle that applied to 7ths and major 7ths applies to 9ths, major 9ths, 11ths, major 11ths, etc., etc. So we just take a major 7th chord, root with a major chord, major 7th added, and then our 9. That's a major 9. A nice melodic sound too. And same goes for the 11ths and the 13ths as well. So that covers the major chords. Next is the minor chords, and this change is actually very, very simple, especially when you're playing on a bass. You're only playing one note at a time. You don't need to worry about fingering so much as you do if you're playing guitar. So we still take our first, third, and fifth, but the difference with a major and minor chord, and this is the one difference, is that we lower the third. We have flattened, so it becomes, from a major third, it becomes a minor third. So we take root, minor third, perfect fifth. And all the other principles still apply. A minor 6 will be a minor chord with a 6th added to it. A minor 7 will be a minor chord with a minor 7th or a flatted 7th added to it. And then a minor major 7th will be a minor chord with a major 7th added to it. Very full of tension. Now, sometimes you'll run into chords like, let's say if I wanted to add in a flat 6, we would usually end up calling that not an A minor minor 6, we would call it an A minor with a flat 13, because the 13 is the same as the 6. That stuff's a little bit complicated. The same goes for flat 9 or sharp 9. As long as we can identify the interval, we're just taking what we know and we're adding it to it. Next we have augmented and diminished chords. These are referring to the fifth. So the fifth is either raised and augmented, or it's diminished, it's lowered. Just one semitone. We'll do the augmented first because they're simplest. Just a major chord with a sharp fifth or a raised fifth. So we're going to go root, major third, and raised fifth. Augmented chord. Very simple. Then we have the diminished chord. We're referring to the fifth being lowered one semitone. Diminished chords are minor chords with a diminished fifth added to it. So we take our root, minor third, and our flat fifth. Then we have our half diminished chord. This one is also called a minor 7 flat 5. And so you're going to start with what you know. It's a C minor, could be the minor third, C minor 7. So we have our flatted 7th added to it, and then we're going to lower the fifth one semitone. Really, you can just think of it as a diminished chord with a flatted 7th added to it. Next we have the diminished 7th. Again, this is counterintuitive like the sevenths. We're going to be playing a diminished chord with a double flatted 7th. We start with your diminished chord, root, minor third, diminished fifth, and we add a double flatted 7, which is, if you notice, exactly the same as the 6th. I don't know why it's called that instead of the 6th. And there you have it. Those are your basic forms of your chords.